Hey, it's me. I said I would do an update on my mom, so here it is. If you hear noises, it's a train going by. So here's my update on my mom. Not too much has been happening, except for she's still in the hospital. She comes up with different things. I don't know. It's So she'll say she's in a play, and maybe I already told you guys this. Sorry. So she'll say she's in a play, and so if she's crying, she says it's not real life, it's part of the play. She's supposed to cry in the play, and nobody understands that. She is crying because it's part of the play. So that's one thing she says. The other thing she's been doing is she'll say, oh, it's like she'll tell you a whole story about how she went on a ship and she danced and she went to dinner, and then like you're really invested in the story, right? And she'll go, but it's and then finally she goes, well, it's not real. It's not real. It's a dream. So they're the things she was doing. It seems to change every so often. She thinks she sees her friends there. Like today she said, oh, I saw so-and-so, but she didn't seem to recognize me. But we didn't grow up as kids together, so maybe that's why. So I think in her head she's a kid, which I know is normal. But when I ask her how old she is, she's pretty good at remembering. Like she'll say 67 or 177. But then I'll say, try again. And then she'll say 76. And I'm like, almost. So, but I don't think she's understanding like 77 is older. So that's not processing. She tells people she wants to call her mom to come get her, which apparently is me. I don't look like her mom, but she has always said my whole life that I act like her mom. And we didn't get along very well. Sometimes when you act like a person, you don't get along, you know. So that's been interesting. Otherwise, she really sounds a lot like herself. She will have conversations that it's like she's on top of it. And I think that gives me a lot of false hope when she's like that. Because even though mentally I know she's not going to get better and she's just going to end up getting worse one day. I think her actually sounding or having conversations like she used to gives me a lot of false hope, in a different sense, you know, even though I know. So that's been really difficult for me. Now, one thing I've noticed is that she thinks she's in school. Now, she did go to boarding school growing up. She thinks she's at school. But at the same time, then she'll go from talking about how she's in school to the hospital, like, and then talking about the hospital. Or the doctor said she can't leave until he's ready for her to leave. So I don't know if she, like, instead of calling it a hospital, somehow, like, her brain feels better calling it a school. I'm not quite sure. So that's been really interesting. Because when I mention she's in the hospital, she seems to know it. My son, she doesn't seem to understand. I don't know, she doesn't know his name. or what the issue is, but she um, started giving him a new nickname, Toodles, she calls him. And at first I'm like, okay, that's funny, haha. And because I think she doesn't know his name. Like, even if I say his name, she usually knows who he is. And she'll go, oh, you mean Toodles. But then, like this morning, I said to her, I told her, my son went to school this morning, and I said his name, and she said, what about Toodles? So it was almost like they were two different people. So that's been really interesting. Something new and interesting, I guess, going on. She seems to be sleeping more, but at the hospital she's at, because she's not in a nursing home, so at the hospital she's at, she swears they don't have any, like, activities for them to do. Like a lot of nursing homes, for example, have amenities where they do bingo and they do, worship services, and they do, flower arrangements, that they can go and do. But supposedly they don't have anything that the patients can do. And so she gets bored very easily. And so, like yesterday, she went to bed for the night very early for her. And so, and she's always cold. Very, very cold. And they say they have nothing they can do for her or give her because she's so cold. They try blankets, but that doesn't help. Because she has no sub-Q fat anymore on her. And so she's very cold all the time. And because of the hospital she's in, I can't take her a nice warm jacket, for example. And you can't take anything at all. And she's so far away right now, I can't get to her. So, but yeah. So, let's see. So, yeah, I think that's all that's really going on. We're waiting to hear if she gets to get out at the end of the week or not. They were talking about maybe releasing her by the end of the week. And because of her slapping someone at the last nursing home, my problem is nursing homes won't take my mom around here. And I understand some of the reason why they're afraid she would hurt someone and they don't want to take a chance with that. But at the same time, it's not like she's 300 pounds. I don't really think, she's pretty weak. I don't think she could do much damage. And someone said, well, you would be surprised how much damage she really could do. I'd be surprised. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so, I have contacted, nursing homes because the social worker basically wanted to put her out in Chicago. And that's too far. I would never see her the rest of my mom's life. Ever would I see her. And so that was difficult. So I reached out to some of the places that said no and begged them to please take my mother. And I had two that did reach out, and I really appreciated them. Even if they ended up changing their mind and saying no, I appreciated them just calling me. I appreciated them reaching out to me and rethinking it for me. I think the rest of them just ignored me. Like, I never reached out to them, which was annoying, as you can imagine. I will always be thankful for these two places. whether they take her or not. I really appreciated them caring about their patients enough to reach out to me, and hearing what I had to say. I know my mom has mentioned that she hasn't seen me for a long time. But again, today she thought she was in school and she thought it was Thanksgiving and that she was going to get to come home for Thanksgiving. Because I think in boarding school, they get to, come home for the holidays. So that was kind of heartbreaking today. A lot of times she sounds like her normal self, and but then she'll say, she'll sound normal, and then all of a sudden she'll say something, and I can't remember. Like, I can't even give you an example. Like, oh, we'll be talking, and then she'll say, oh, why didn't you, we'll be having a normal conversation. She'll go, I waited here all night for you guys, and you never showed up. And I was like, what are you talking about the other day? Most of the time I try to go along with her stories, but sometimes if you know me personally, it's hard for me not to say what I'm thinking. And so I'll be like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, they told me they called you and you were going to be here, and I cried because you never showed up. And I'm like, I wasn't coming out there. And I try to nicely remind her, I don't drive. You're very far away. And remember, you're, if she's talking about school, remember you're in boarding school, so you stay there. Things like that. Or the doctor, didn't say you could come home yet, or things like that. I've told her that we're looking for a new place for her. That way I can come see her and bring her warm clothes or socks or, the stuff she needs. So we'll see. But that's the update on my mom for this week. So we will see if she gets moved this week or not. Talk to you guys later. Bye.